I'm past the Q today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Deacon D. Pause.
Our guy over here sent me a clip.
Basically, it was a clip. A guy was talking about a man that went to church, forgot to put his cell phone on vibrate, or either cut off, whatever, and then went off in the church, and he was scolded by the pastor or whoever, and then was scolded by members of the church. I think he vowed never to go back to church again.
Or something like that.
So he went out that night kind of still upset about what happened to church, went out that night to a bar, was at the bar and spilled his drink on some folks. And the folks was coming at him. He thought they was about to fight him. But they actually came over and was like, hey man, it's all good. Is everything all right? Blah, blah, blah. The bartender came, gave him a towel to clean himself up, then offered him a free drink. Like, hey bro, you look like you're going through something.
Welcome to the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
And I'm Q. I'm past the Q today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Deacon D. Pause.
Stupid. Listen, we're going to talk about why I'm past the Q today. But our guy over here sent me a clip of a situation. I want to have you break down that clip for us, as you eloquently always do.
Basically, it was a clip. A guy was talking about a man that went to church, forgot to put his cell phone on vibrate, or either cut off, whatever, and then went off in the church, and he was kind of, I don't know if berated is the right word. He really didn't go into detail what happened, but he was scolded
heavy-handedly.
Yeah, by the pastor or whoever, and then was scolded by members of the church. And he felt so bad, so ashamed, he left the church. I think he vowed never to go back to church again.
Or something like that.
So he went out that night kind of still upset about what happened to church, went out that night to a bar, was at the bar and spilled his drink on some folks. And the folks was coming at him. He thought they was about to fight him. But they actually came over and was like, hey man, it's all good. Is everything all right? Blah, blah, blah. The bartender came, gave him a towel to clean himself up, clean the drink up, then offered him a free drink. Like, hey bro, you look like you're going through something. Blah, blah, blah. So that was the story I wanted to send to you, because I think the caption was saying, you know, church folks can be the most judgmental or something. And it's kind of been it's like a stereotype or something saying that, you know, the most judgmental people are people that's in the church or supposed to be in the church. So, and I sent that to you. I just, you know, kind of wanted to get your feedback on that. I knew what it was going to be, but then also was like, bro, we kind of maybe need to talk about this, because obviously, you know, we're both heavy with our faith, but we try not to push it on to people, especially our viewers, our subscribers, this and that, but we also don't hide it, don't deny it, and we have it on our sleeve as well.
Exactly.
So we respect everybody, but I was like, you know what, we may need to talk about this. It might be time.
I think, and you know, like I say, you try to stay away from religion, you try to stay from politics.
Right.
But I'll say this much: I'm truly Pastor Q, right? I assist in an online ministry. I also, you could say, pastor about 8 or 9 guys every Monday at 6 p.m. It's called the prayer group for whatever reason. It's really just, again, another form of men's fellowship from a spiritual aspect.
And you also do it for my birthday. You know, I'll try to incorporate, you know, that religious aspect at some point during my birthday weekend. So he'll normally do like a Bible study or something.
For sure.
For me during my birthday weekend.
And if you guys have been watching for the past few seasons, if you listen to me, there'll be times when I do interject and I say particular things, right? Because I'm not going to hide who I am. And I think my statement is, because it's not about forcing anything on anybody. I think in society today, Christianity may be one of the least most things forced on people. We can go there. Some of the stuff that's happening in our school systems and some of the things that are going on, even with some laws that are being passed or whatever.
They trying to take it out.
Well, not even just that. just the fact that there are other things that are being forced and put upon our children or whatever.
Sure.
We can leave that for another conversation as well.
But we are going to talk about that.
For sure. But
crazy.
I think the reason why we wanted to go here is because of my stance is why I thought it was good to do it. And I heard someone say it takes forever to build up your credibility to be able to witness to someone. But just like that, your witness could be shot down. What is your witness? The ability to share. Because that's what it's about. It's not about force or nothing. It's about sharing. We share things every day. You go on social media, somebody's sharing stuff you want to see, stuff you don't want to see. You keep it scrolling, you keep it moving, have a good day, right? But I think why this hit so heavy is because it is a stereotype. Like every stereotype, it is never 100% true. Okay? However, there are a lot of people who have had similar experiences. Now, let's break down what happened. Even though we don't know the specifics, watch this, even though we may not know if this is a true story.
Correct.
Okay? We see a lot of skits and stuff that happens on social media. So we may not know.
This was secondhand. It wasn't like this, the person that this quote unquote happened to was not the person talking.
Exactly.
This was somebody that was saying that. I'm trying to just want to break up the caption.
Yeah, that's it right there. Your attitude as a believer
can draw people close to God or drive them to hell.
And I agree. So let's read it one more time.
Your attitude as a believer can draw people close to God or drive them to hell.
Exactly.
And that's what gravitated me towards. Because when you see people talking, sometimes I don't even be, but that, so I was like, oh, let me hear what he's talking about. And
I agree with it though. I do agree with it. For sure. And I think what I will say is this, whether it's unfair or fair, I do feel like Christians, we are put up underneath the most scrutiny. There are hypocrites in every religion. You don't typically hear about it talked about in Buddhism. You don't hear about it in Judaism. You don't hear about it, in Islam. Not in the black community. Not in the black community. Now, we look at those that are Islam outside of the black community as extremists, and they gonna put a bomb on the plane and all this other stuff. That's how that's viewed. So it's not in the same context.
Again, stereotype.
Right. But I split it out just because it's different within the black community, because you don't typically have people addressing, again, Islam in a favorable way when it's outside of the black community, right? So anyway, but I think I agree with the statement. Even though we don't know the details of what happened here, I've seen it happen myself where us church people can be very harsh. I have seen that. And I think there's one thing to say that someone is harsh, and then there's another thing for someone to say like accountability, right? And I always say this, that accountability oftentimes looks like judgment. It doesn't have to be, but that's the way it's viewed. Because let's just be honest, many times we don't want to be told to do opposite of what we want to do. And when we are told that, we just kind of, well, I'm not going to associate myself with that person or that group of people because they're going to tell me I shouldn't be doing what I want to do, right? Okay. But we're not necessarily talking about that. A cell phone went off, a simple mistake. I actually had this happen at my man's wedding last weekend. Now, was I annoyed by it? Was he probably annoyed by it? Of course. But is it enough to berate someone? Is it enough even to have a conversation after the wedding or after the service? I don't know. Now, if we're talking about a string of 2 to 3 or 4 Sundays, and then this is another thing. In this case, that's probably when you would say, this is a message that you have posted up in your church. You know what I'm saying? Or you got the ushers saying, hey baby, make sure your cell phone's turned off, this, that, and the third, stuff like that. But to berate someone, I think, watch this. I think Christians sometimes go too far, but I think people in general go too far.
The funny thing is, you're berating someone that you're trying to get into the fold and keep in the fold, right? So why would you go, not out of your way, but why would you go so hard on someone when your ultimate goal is to make them comfortable?
Yeah, to keep them,
and keep them.
Retain.
Yes, retain them. But instead, you pushing them away. And again, the church may not have thought it was a big thing. And like you said, we don't know if it was something that's been going on as far as people phones going off during the church service. So maybe it was something like that. But, you know, like you said, I've seen it happen, bro. I've seen it happen. And, you know, you just kind of want to... There's the stereotype that church folks, Christians, and we just gonna talk about Christians. Christians are the most judgmental, some of the most judgmental people on the earth, right? And like with all stereotypes, there may be some validity to it. Not saying everybody, but there may be some validity to it. And so when I broached the idea to you, he was like, "Yeah, well, yeah, we need to discuss that," because again, you know, conversely, he goes out and does something that we kind of don't want him to do, right? We would rather have him in the fold, in the congregation, in the church. But he goes out into the world and does something that we may not necessarily approve of, but gets love.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And again, he thought the guys was coming to fight him.
Right.
Right? Think about it. You in a bar. Alcohol is a bar. You spill it on somebody. You got pride. You got ego. You got machismo. You know what I'm saying? You done.
And bar fights. And bar fights. And bar fights.
Bar fights are beyond common, bro.
Yeah.
See them all the time. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything. You bumped up to me. You tried to talk to my girl. You looked at me the wrong way.
Right.
For sure, bro. It can happen.
Right.
So for that situation to have happened, and he ended up getting more love than the place where you supposed to get the love from.
Right.
It was just a little disappointing. Bro.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem when you sum up this entire situation, and sometimes in situations where this has happened in your situation, because I think a lot of us have situations where we've experienced things like this. Like I said, I've seen some things, and I think, like you say, there's an expectation. So let's just be honest. Just like there's a stereotype, there's also an expectation, like a healthy expectation. Like I should receive love when I come to the church, right? Now, I don't think we should just think we can come into church and do anything.
For sure.
Right? So for example, myself, 40-something years old, if I see a young kid, 18, 19 years old, come into church, and we've had this conversation, sagging your pants.
Pants hanging off your behind.
Hey, bro, do me a favor. But I think approach and tact is everything. Hey, bro, let me holler at you real quick. Look, man, I'm glad you showed up here today. Just do me one favor, bro. Just pull your pants up a little bit. That's all. You got young kids in here. You got women in here. Yeah. That's it. Dap them up. We keep it moving. Now, if you take that situation and you are offended and say you're never gonna come back to the church, bro, I don't know what to say to you, because you couldn't go to your job and do that. Okay? You couldn't go to court and do that. Like there's just. So it's and we can say that, oh well, I should just be accepted. They say come as you are, and there is some.
That's fine.
And there is some. Yeah, you are here. You are here as you are,
and we glad.
But
come with some sense.
And watch this. Because it should be a loving environment. I'm gonna approach you
with love.
Yeah. And say again, like I said, in that instance. Now again. We can come up and
say, pull your pants.
Now this is the thing. There's so many situations that we could probably talk about. This might be a joint that goes ham because of the stereotype that is accepted. So people might get on here and say, yeah, well, yeah, I agree. Now, again, let's just be clear as we clear the air. I do believe in the statement that was made. I think we have to be more careful, right? And pushing people out, especially people that are first-time visitors, those that we've never seen before, guests, all these type of situations. That's number one. But also, even in being annoyed sometimes, there's still a way that we can address things. That's another thing. The third thing I would say is, typically, if as a pastor, if I heard, number one, I wouldn't have responded in whatever berating way that this person responded. That's number one. Number two, I think we have to make sure that those that are in leadership or just in the congregation are taught also how to handle people. Because as the pastor, you're going to see them before you see me. Not because I don't, but you're just going to see them. I'm not in the parking lot. I'm not at the front of the church when you're coming in the lobby. Like, I'm not going to be there typically when you come in.
I may not see him afterwards.
Exactly.
You might see him on the way out. You might see him in the parking lot on the way out.
And furthermore, at the church I go to now, not where I'm a pastor or I serve as a pastor, I'm serving more than I have in recent years in church. So they call it curbside hospitality, right? So I'm the smiling face when you come to church. I'm saying hello, even if you're not. That's the other part. You're being a way that someone else may not be. But again, what we kind of can feel in this situation, and this kind of goes back to mental health as well, because people do rely on religion for mental health. I rely on religion for mental health. Not that that's the complete way, but I rely on it to a degree. This guy in this story sounded like he was just having a rough period in life. Because maybe I think anybody would feel some type of way, but maybe you could understand why a person was a certain way because your cell phone went off at church. It's the same as if it happened in the church. I mean, at the wedding. The same as if it happened during testing.
Right.
Stuff like that. But when I'm already going through something and then this happens, because then he got to the bar and still something else happened.
Right. And the thing is, it was disappointing because he probably went to church looking for something, needing something.
Yeah.
So as a believer, half the battle was won because he's in
showed
there,
up.
right?
Yeah.
And then you berate him, and now you done lost him.
Yeah.
And not only that, he done got love from
the people who might be the opposite
right.
of that.
Right.
Who ain't ever going into church. As a
Right.
matter of fact, they said they wouldn't go into church, whether they had an experience or not. So I just think like you say, we just got to be a lot more careful.
Yes.
We just have to be a lot more careful how we handling people. We don't know what people are going through. Let me tell you this, and we're going to clear the air. I have had people, matter of fact, let's clear the air. I have had people who have been a certain kind of way towards me on my job, sometimes even in the church or different areas or places where I've been at. And it's sometimes where you just eat stuff. You just kind of let it go because you don't know what that person is going through. You don't know what I'm going through, right? But you just have to be careful how you handle people. And let me say this.
That's with anything too.
Anything. Let me say this part. This is what, if you've ever gone through church hurt or a situation like this, let me explain something to you. And this is it right here. Regardless of what your experience might be with humans, there is a God in heaven that loves you, that loves me, that loves him, that loves we. And his response is that of compassion. Don't believe me? Read the Gospels, the first 4 books of the New Testament. You begin to see, and you'll know, in red is Jesus talking. He chin-checked the people who thought they were the religious leaders more than he did the people who were sinners. I'm not saying that he was okay with their sin. What I'm saying is this. he was careful in how he handled them.
Yeah.
Because the way, as was said, the way he handled them could determine
Which way they go.
this way
Yeah.
or that way.
And to clarify what he was saying, in the Bible, when you see stuff in red, that means that Jesus is talking. So for our people out there that may not have known, we just wanted to clarify that.
True. And again, I just want to clarify the compassion part. Because whether you're talking about the 2 fish and 5 loaves, you know, whether you're talking
The
about
woman touching the hem of his garment.
the hem of his garment, whether you're talking about the woman who lived with somebody and had 5 husbands and he told her story. Watch this. She could have been offended by the fact that he read her rights, quote unquote, and said, "You're right, you don't have a husband. And these other men were not your husbands." She didn't get offended because of the compassion and how he
framed it.
how he framed the conversation that he had with her. She ran away talking about the experience that she had. Right? So I think, again, as we close, we just have to be careful. So listen, I want to ask you guys to do us a favor. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure that for the audio experience, you're checking us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure that you're also checking us out on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. God bless you. It's Pastor Q.
Peace.